Hey, I'm Ramus, physical therapist and certified athletic trainer with the DMC Sports Performance Academy, here today with Amy, a marathon runner who is working on getting ready to do her 4th marathon, the Free Press Marathon. And we're talking about flexibility, but before you talk about stretching, because we know muscles, if a hamstring has length to it, you want to stretch those muscles out. But a lot of times when you train, like an endurance athlete, a marathon runner, a half marathon runner, those muscles get knots in them, or what the medical community calls trigger points. And it's just like this band. If it gets a knot in it, and you go in there and get ready for a run and just stretch, then that knot's just going to get tighter like it does in this band. And if you've had an injury before, a lot of hamstring strains or quad strains, you'll get scar tissue in a knot like that. Instead of straining that same spot, you probably strain it just before, in front of that point, or behind it. And so what we want to do before you get into your stretches is you want to foam roll. You want to give yourself what we call self-massage, because most of us can't have a massage therapist working on ourselves every day. So you can use foam rollers and tennis balls to do that. And Amy's going to demonstrate the 6 most common muscles we want to address in a marathon runner. We'll start out, Amy, with the tennis ball and your arch of your foot. So she's going to put that right in the plantar fascia of her foot. She's going to roll back and forth, side to side, in a circle. And as she's doing that, she's going to feel for any spots that are tender, or kind of give her that ouch type of feeling. And when she finds that, she's going to work in that area. How long? You typically will work about a minute in each spot. And sometimes what we're looking for is a release of that tension. Maybe it's 50% less pain, maybe it's 10% less pain. A lot of these knots are going to be real stubborn and won't go away right away. So you're going to have to work on it for a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, but ease into it each time. Now let's move up the change. Let's have a seat. And now we're going to use that tennis ball again just to work her calf. So she's going to lay down, put that tennis ball right behind her calf muscle here, and then she's going to roll back and forth on it, put all of her body weight into that, and go from the Achilles down here all the way up to behind the knee. Same thing, working on the outside part of her calf, working on the inside part of her calf, looking for spots that are tender. Have any hot spots yet? Oh yeah. And so when she finds one of those hot spots, she's going to kind of focus and concentrate on that area until it starts to release. And hopefully, like I said, at least a 50% release. Next muscle group, one of our favorites for runners, are hamstrings. I like to use the foam roll. Again, these are available at local sports stores, or you can just Google online foam roll and find these available. And she's going to put that right in the back of her hamstring, right in the back of her knee. She's going to get all of her body weight on it, and she's going to roll right up to the back side of her hamstring, right to her tip of her butt. Go right up and down the middle. You can do one hamstring at a time with the small foam roll, like these, because you can just toss them in your bag and go wherever you need to go with those. Or they do come in a larger size like this, where you can put both hamstrings on it and do both at the same time. And again, it should be the same exact idea, moving inside to the hamstring, outside to the hamstring, finding those spots that are super, super tender. All right, one of the favorite spots next, Amy, IT band, or iliotibial tract, right on the side. She's going to get on the side of her body. How about if we turn and you face me this way, and you can see the sideways angle of that. So she's getting right on top. Yeah, that looks great. And she's going to go from the outside part of her knee right here, all the way up to the top of her hip, putting all that body weight. You see how nice and straight her body is as she's going through that roll. And this one's a killer. For most runners, a lot of tension through there, because a lot of them, you're using your hip flexors, and instead of using our deep hip flexors, so is when we're running, a lot of times that's a weak hip flexor. We use too much of tensor fascial out of that IT band tract, and it becomes knotty because it's being used too much. Next one up, we're going to turn you over, and how about if we have you face the camera, and you're going to lay, we'll show the big foam roll. Let's have you lay on your stomach, put this right on top of your quads. So she's going to put it right on the top of her hip, and she's going to roll towards you. She's going to roll right down to the point just before she gets to her kneecaps, and right down the center of her quadriceps. Good. Now let's have you turn towards me, so you're facing this way, and then we can see that sideways roll. And here she can do, again, both legs at the same time to save some time. And there we go. She's going to go right down the middle of both her quadriceps, stop just before she gets to her kneecaps. Again, when she finds a spot, any spots in there, she's going to work that nice and easy roll back, just like that. And then the last spot we like to get is what we call the hip flexor, and that's just above where that quadriceps. And so she's going to move from here to here, right between the hip joint. And a tennis ball is a great way to get in that small spot. So she's going to lay right on top of that tennis ball. Same thing. Go out. I'll tell the athlete, go back and forth, Amy. See if you find anything. If you don't feel it, maybe a little bit side to side. And there's the spots. And then you can even kind of do a little circle roll right over that spot. And with each one of these spots, I said, again, you'll know when you hit a spot, you're going to work on that spot for at least a minute. See if you can get that release to happen during that foam roll session. If you can't, try to get at least 10% of it out of there before you go into your stretches. But again, this is going to be an area you're going to put down in your workout training log and say, that's a spot that I have to work on every day. And so the next time, before you start stretching, this should be the first thing that you do before you go into your workout, is foam roll to prep that muscle tissue. Before you work on the length of it, we want to work on the density of that tissue and normalize it so that we can get optimal length of that tissue without knots in it. All right, look forward to our next stretching session coming up in a little bit.